DreamWorks villains stand apart, masterfully crafted to steal more than just scenes. They steal our hearts. Tonight, we dive into the cunning world of these iconic antagonists, from the shark-infested waters of Shark Tale to the dragon-filled skies of How to Train Your Dragon. Each character, meticulously designed for mischief and mayhem, challenges our heroes and compels us, the audience, to adore them. Are you ready to explore the dark charm and complex motives that make DreamWorks villains undeniably superior? Join me as we unveil the secrets behind their sinister success. Slipping from the shadows of our intriguing introduction, let's delve deeper, just you and I, into the cunning labyrinth where DreamWorks villains master their dark arts. But don't be afraid, darling. I promise this journey into the minds of Mischief will be most enlightening. Imagine a world where every twist and turn in the tale is orchestrated by someone charismatic, yet calculating. DreamWorks excels at this, crafting villains that aren't just obstacles. They're essential to the fabric of their stories, making them as rich and intricate as a tapestry woven with threads of gold and shadow. Take, for example, the mesmerizingly malicious Lord Farquaad from Shrek. On the surface, he might just seem like a pompous little lord with delusions of grandeur, but there's much more to him than a need for control. Farquaad's tyranny and disdain for fairy tale creatures make him a villain we love to hate. But they also push our dear Shrek and Fiona together, sparking an unlikely love story. See, without Farquaad, there is no journey, no challenge, no tale to tell. He is not merely a villain, he is a catalyst, setting the stage for a saga of love, acceptance, and rebellion. But wait, let's not wander too far without mentioning Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda, a masterpiece of villainy with a tale so tragic, one almost hopes for his redemption. Almost. Here is a warrior whose prowess and ambition were unmatched, raised to believe he was destined for greatness, only to be denied his destiny. Tai Lung's story is a mirror to Poe's, both seeking validation, both struggling with identity, yet their paths diverge into light and darkness. This juxtaposition is what makes Tai Lung fascinating. He embodies the shadow side of ambition, the perils of pride, turning his tale into a cautionary epic about the dangers of desires unchecked. DreamWorks doesn't just stop at creating villains. They breathe life into them, giving them motives that resonate with our darkest secret corners. Consider Eris from Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Goddess of chaos and discord, she is deceit personified, her motives clouded in mystery, her actions driven by a desire to upset the mortal order. Eris challenges Sinbad, not just physically but morally, forcing him to explore loyalty, sacrifice, and integrity. She is not just a disruptor. She is a teacher in disguise, her lessons harsh but necessary. If you're intrigued by how villains shape the stories we love, don't forget to subscribe and join us for more dark delights and sinister stories. Let's not forget the powerfully poignant tale of Ramses from The Prince of Egypt. Here's a villain carved from the stone of royalty, burdened by legacy and expectation. His conflict with Moses is not just political, it's deeply personal, familial. Ramses and Moses grew up as brothers, their lives entwined until destiny pulled them apart, turning familial love into a battleground of faith and duty. Ramses isn't evil for the sake of evil. He's a man torn between the past's chains and the harsh demands of his role as pharaoh. His story is a heartbreaking dance of power and loss, making him a villain whose pain we feel in our very bones. And therein lies the true genius of DreamWorks. they don't just create villains. They create stories where the villain is as developed, as cherished, as their heroes. They understand that a story's heartbeat is the conflict, the dance between good and evil, and oh, how beautifully they make their villains dance. As intriguing as these layered legacies may seem, brace yourself, dear viewer, for we've barely scratched the surface. Up next, we dive into the artful audacity of DreamWorks visual design, where every shadow, every line carries a story. How does the sinister elegance of these villains not only capture our eyes, but also echo through our culture? Stay close, for what comes next will reveal just how deeply these villains have etched themselves into the very fabric of our imaginations. As we glide from the intricate webs of our villains' minds to the lush, dark velvet of their appearances, let's pause and admire the canvas where DreamWorks paints its masterpieces. My dear, have you ever wondered why these characters captivate your gaze? Why your eyes are drawn to them like moths to a flame? It's not just their deeds that enchant. It's their style, their essence, the very sway of their sinister silhouettes that seduce us into the story. Take, for instance, the flamboyantly fearsome Captain Hook from Shrek 2. Decked out in a dashing red coat with a curling mustache and a gleaming hook, his very posture screams panache. But it's not just about looking good. His design speaks volumes about his character. The sharp angles of his hook contrast with his smooth, suave demeanor, creating a delicious duality. Here's a villain who's both a gentleman and a scoundrel, a rogue who can charm you one moment and betray you the next. And what of the sleek, sinister Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2? This peacock is not merely a bird. He's a ballet of blades, every feather an extension of his cold, calculated malice. His plumage, resplendent in metallic blues and striking whites, mirrors his aristocracy and his ambition. Shen moves like royalty, but his actions scream coup d'etat. His appearance isn't just visually stunning, it's a narrative device, telling of his regality and his ruthless pursuit of power. But, oh, let's not overlook the dragons from How to Train Your Dragon. Each dragon is crafted to be a visual feast, an amalgamation of terror and wonder. Consider the Night Fury, toothless, sleek, powerful, designed for both affection and efficiency. His black scales absorb light, drawing you into the depths of his otherworldly charm, while his bright, expressive eyes convey a soulful depth. Toothless embodies the ultimate blend of DreamWorks artistry, where fear meets fascination and fantasy becomes friend. Now, draw closer, just between us. Imagine the visual drama of the Croods' villainous creatures. Their designs are a chaotic symphony of colors, textures, and forms, each element amplifying their threat yet inviting curiosity. They twist the natural world into fantastical horrors that are as beautiful as they are deadly. It's a wild, vibrant chaos that captures the essence of survival in their harsh, prehistoric world. And in this stylish parade of villains, how can we forget Megamind? With his blue skin, sharp suits, and devilish charm, he turns the stereotype of the bumbling evil genius on its head. His large head and green eyes are not just marks of his alien origin. They symbolize his outsized ambitions and his unique view of the world. Megamind's design reflects his complexity. An alien, an outsider, who ultimately seeks the same acceptance and love as any hero. DreamWorks understands that a villain's power isn't just in their actions. It's in their appearance, their first impression, their enduring image in our minds. They craft these characters with such meticulous care that you can't help but be drawn to them, not just as foes to be defeated, but as icons to be remembered. Each curve, each line, each color plays its part in the symphony of the story, making the villains not just memorable, but magnetic. But the allure doesn't end with mere appearances. Up next, we'll dive into how these villains not only captured the screen, but also left an indelible mark on our culture. Ready to see how they've woven their dark threads through the very fabric of our daily lives? Stick with me and uncover the true legacy of DreamWorks' most unforgettable villains. Oh, my dear, you must know that these figures of malevolence and mischief do not merely fade into the dark once the credits roll. No, they linger, they resonate, and they influence. Consider how DreamWorks villains have transcended the realm of animation to become icons in their own right. These characters challenge the norm, pushing the boundaries of what it means to be a villain, and in doing so, they've carved a niche that resonates deeply with audiences around the globe. Isn't there something deliciously tempting about embracing one's darker side, even if just in the fantasy of film? Let's take a moment to revel in the influence of characters like the charismatic and cunning fairy godmother from Shrek 2. With her lilting lullabies that mask a manipulative core, she redefines the fairy tale trope, turning expectations on their head. Her legacy? A beloved antagonist who teaches us that the real magic is in the power of persuasion and the wielding of wit. Her character has sparked discussions in forums, classrooms, and fan conventions, igniting debates about morality, power, and the complexity of character development in modern storytelling. And what of the notorious Megamind? This blue-skinned brainiac with a heart of gold has not only captured the imaginations of children, but also of adults who find his journey from villain to hero both compelling and relatable. Megamind's story is a vibrant template on the redemption arc, celebrated in academic papers and social media memes alike. He makes us question the very essence of heroism and villainy, blurring the lines between the two with his every act and ambition. DreamWorks villains also impact the cultural fabric through merchandise, theme park attractions, and even fashion. Who among us hasn't seen a child, or let's be honest, an adult, donning a cape or a hat inspired by the dastardly yet dashing Captain Hook from Shrek? These characters influence Halloween costumes, party themes, and even everyday style. They become part of our personal and cultural identity, symbols of our own hidden desires to challenge the status quo. Moreover, the legacy of these villains extends into the realms of digital media and video games, where they live on in pixelated prowess, challenging new generations of players to strategize against their well-crafted wickedness. Each game, app, and digital story allows the villain to evolve, to adapt to new technologies and times, thus cementing their place in both the virtual and the real world. In the broader strokes of cultural dialogue, DreamWorks villains contribute to conversations about ethics, leadership, and influence. They become case studies in complexity, often used by educators and psychologists to explore themes of conflict, resolution, personality development, and the psychological underpinnings of rivalry and resistance. They aren't just characters, they are catalysts for learning, for self-exploration, and for dialogue. So, as you sit there, possibly pondering your own plots and plans, remember that the villains of DreamWorks do more than just entertain. They inspire, they educate, and they provoke. They remind us that sometimes, to understand the light, one must first appreciate the dark. And who knows? Perhaps in that appreciation, you'll find a piece of yourself echoed in their tales of turmoil and triumph. After all, darling, inside each of us is a story. And perhaps a little bit of villainy waiting to be told. We've unveiled the mastery behind DreamWorks villains and their impact on and off the screen. If you're captivated by these iconic characters and want more, hit subscribe. Stay tuned for more explorations into the art of villainy. Until next time, keep reveling in the shadows.